Hi. A film I caught up with recently, having planned to see it in the cinema, but it didn't seem to have much of a run in the UK, is Downhill. It's written and directed by Nat Faxon and Jim Rash, and it's an adaptation of the Norwegian film Force Majeure, or in its original title, Tourist. It's the story of a family who's gone on a skiing holiday to Austria. In this new version, it's an American family led by Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Will Ferrell. And there is a certain disconnect between the husband and wife, but on the first full day out, while they're having lunch on the balcony area of the hotel restaurant, overlooking the beautiful scenery, there's an explosion, and suddenly an avalanche sweeps down the mountain towards them. And people on the balcony are at first slightly concerned, then panic. Some of them flee, including the husband, who grabs his phone, gets up, and runs, leaving his family to fend for themselves. A cloud of snow washes over the balcony. It settles and clears, and of course, it turns out it was a controlled explosion. It was a controlled avalanche to prevent major buildup of snow. The whole thing was totally safe, if somewhat alarming. No one was ever in any danger. But they didn't know that. The husband returns to the table, he sits down, and he starts reading the menu again. But the damage was already done. The original film follows the story from there in a more dramatic fashion with an edge of dark comedy. But Downhill is extremely broad. It's also extremely lazy and sloppy. Um, where to start with this? Firstly, we have a portrayal of the ugly American overseas complaining that not everything goes their way, and it's hard to know whether or not this is meant to be sympathetic because the locals don't care and tell him off for complaining about everything, or if it's meant to be an indictment of this American mindset of why isn't everything being organized for our convenience? This counters with the portrayal of Europeans who are all speak in broken English, all are sex mad, and it feels like something out of the 1970s. And the film is very weirdly miscast. Will Ferrell is a completely wrong choice for what should be a serious role, and Miranda Otto as the hotel concierge. Her position is never really made clear. She's hotel concierge, tour manager, um, uh, ski rep. It's left very vague. Um, is an odd choice because the character is this bizarre caricature out of a Carry On film in what should be a relatively serious production. The ending has changed as well. Spoilers. The original film ends with the family going skiing on their last day and becoming lost in a fog bank. They lose sight of the wife, so the husband goes back and gets her. And there is an unspoken reconciliation there, which then continues at the ending of the film, where everyone piles on the coach to leave the town, but the wife becomes worried that the driver of the coach is incompetent, so she organizes everyone to gradually get out, take their belongings, and file down the mountainside as a way of averting disaster through clear thinking, contrasting with her husband's earlier simply fleeing. This film ends with the same fog bank sequence, but when the husband goes back up the mountain, it turns out that she's just waiting. She's just stopped and is waiting for him so that he can recover his respect from his children. And instead of the coach sequence at the end, we have simply a lump of snow falling off the eaves over the entrance to the hotel, and they both leap back away from it before it hits the ground, and they share a look with each other. Do you see the irony there? The problem with the film is that it goes to great lengths to explain everything, to explain all the conflict, to have long monologues between the characters explaining everything, where the original was simply quite happy to let it just simmer underneath. The resentment was all under the surface, and there was respect for the audience's intelligence to pick up on this this resentfulness, this undertow of painful emotion between the characters. But here, everything's out in the open. Everything has to be explained. and it just shows a lack of respect for the audience's intelligence. Combined with the fact that it's ostensibly a comedy that isn't funny, combined with the fact that it's badly cast, combined with the fact that it's badly written, combined with the fact that it's incredibly short. It's 80 minutes and has some very short, very, sorry, not short, long closing credits that seemingly unroll very, very slowly. Combined with its very unpleasant and off-putting portrayal of national characteristics for the Europeans. I have no idea what kind of mindset it has towards Americans because it's so poorly written. It's one of the worst comedies I've seen in quite a while, and it's deserved to be the failure that it was. So don't watch it. Watch the original, Force Majeure. It's very good. This is not.